Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Everything you are today is a result of your childhood. What I'm going to talk about is childhood trauma. I grew up with a narcissistic, abusive mother, and I had a paranoid, schizophrenic father. And as a result of my traumatic childhood, I became borderline. I have borderline personality disorder. Now, most borderlines, like I don't know what percent, but it's extremely high, come from families where there's been abuse. That's how mental illness comes about. It's not only inherited, but it's also comes about by how we were raised. For instance, if you were beaten as a child, chances are very high you will beat your children and they will beat their children and so on. Because that's how you were raised. That's what you know. If you saw your father beating up your mother, chances are when you marry, you will beat your wife, because that's how you were raised and that's what you know. You weren't taught any different. See, children are like clay. They're very pliable. And they take in like a sponge. They're like sponges too. Children are like sponges in like clay. Children absorb everything like a sponge. So if they absorb toxic behavior, like acid, if that sponge is absorbed with toxic acid, burning acid, that's what's going to put out if you squeeze it, right? It's going to kill. But if that child is absorbed, only sees love and encouragement and praise and kindness, that child is going to absorb that like a sponge and then only squeeze out beautiful rose water. You see what I'm trying to get? I'm trying to make the analogy here. I'm not saying that you can't overcome your childhood adversity when you're older through years and years of therapy. Or if you're like me, therapy can destroy your life and re-traumatize you. But I'm just one of the few unfortunate ones in that department. But this is why we have alcoholics, drug addicts, we have psychopaths. Do you think that Ted Bundy was raised by two loving and adoring parents? Ted Bundy, the serial killer who, was put on death row and was killed, he thought his sister was his mother. Now, I think, reading in between the lines, that his sister and his father or grandfather, I'm not really sure, had an incest relationship, and Ted Bundy was a product. So it was either his sister was his mother, and I think what happened was his sister and her father had some male relative. I think the father, maybe the grandfather, I'm not 100% sure, had an incest relationship, and now I'm just reading between the lines. I don't know if this is fact. But in any event, he was not raised in a normal, healthy environment with two loving parents. Because I don't think that, unless you have severe brain damage like my son, unless something happens to you, and severe brain damage can cause psychosis. It can. I've read up everything about brain damage because my son has brain damage from an illness. So unless you have some, brain tumor that impacts, the circuits in your mind, or severe brain damage from either an illness or an accident, you can get brain damage from an accident too, not just illness like my son got it through an illness, pneumococcal meningitis. Unless you have that, or it's genetic, if you grew up with psychotic parents, then chances are high that you could be psychotic. But I think it's all environment. I think it's the way we are raised. Think about the way you were raised, and you'll see that's why you turned out the way you did. I'm not saying you can't change, but the bully at school is beating up on other kids because when that bully comes home, his parents or his father or mother or whatever is beating up on him. See, so he's just... Didn't they do an experiment like this in psychology? Oh, I can't think of it now. I never look up things. Anyway, what a child sees, he repeats, okay? So if he's nurtured and loved and praised and accepted unconditionally and shown kindness, he's going to go out in the world and show that. Now, if a child is bullied and beaten and taught that he's nothing and been shamed, then he's going to go out in the world and he's going to carry all of this. Oh, I think there was a bird. Did you see that? That's why I love being out here in nature doing these videos. So, overcoming childhood trauma. I mean, some people, never overcome it. Some people have to go into therapy for years and years to overcome it. Some people are so strong, they say, I'm never going to be like my parents. I'm never going to do that. So they try to do the exact opposite of their parents. And God bless them, really. They do such an awesome job that because they've seen how horrific their childhoods were. And so they don't want to repeat that same mistake with their children. But what I'm trying to say is how you were raised has a lot to do with how you turned out. You know, what you put in is what comes out. Think about it. It's like any human being. Think about physically. If I keep eating junk food and like burgers and fries, I'm going to be unhealthy. I'm going to be grossly overweight. If I exercise and have a good balanced diet of fruits and vegetables, what I put in is what's going to come out. It's not just physically, it's mentally, right? If I put all good thoughts and be around people that lift me up, I'm going to be more positive, right? And mentally healthy. If I surround myself with negativity and people that bring me down, mistreat me, verbally mistreat me, emotionally mistreat me, physically mistreat me, sexually mistreat me, how am I going to come out if all I'm, surrounding myself? Now, see, when we're children, unfortunately, we depend on our parents or our caregivers, right? We do not decide, unfortunately. We cannot decide for ourselves because we cannot live without our parents or our caretakers. We cannot live alone in the world until we grow up. So we are enmeshed in either, a very strong, healthy environment, or maybe somewhere in between. Not everyone is perfect, or maybe a horrific environment like I was raised in. And then I come out like very afraid of people, and I was a loner most of my life, and very scared because I was raised to be afraid. I was raised that way. My father was a paranoid schizophrenic. He ingrained in me that people were trying to kill us. People were trying to kill him. There were bombs in the house. There were bombs under the car. This is how I grew up. And my mother always hated men. She told me men will chew you up and spit you out. So she raised me never to trust. And my father raised me never to trust. So hence, I was a very timid, shy girl who grew up in a world of her own, in my own little bubble, and not trusting anyone, shutting the world out. I did not grow up in a very healthy, happy environment. I was not encouraged to pursue what I wanted to pursue. I was harshly judged. I was shamed. It was horrific. So that's why, as an adult, I have borderline personality disorder. And borderline personality disorder, if you've seen my other videos, means I cannot regulate my feelings. I'm all or nothing, all black or white. So either someone is all good or they're all bad. And that can fluctuate. One minute I can love you if you do something nice, and if you make a mistake, the next minute I can hate you and, break up the relationship. So that's why borderlines have instability in their friendships, in their jobs, and in their romantic relationships, because they cannot regulate their emotions. They often harm themselves. They just can't regulate their feelings the way that other people can regulate their feelings. And I did many videos of this, so I don't want to dwell on it. But what I'm trying to say, I'm a product of my upbringing. And you are a product of your upbringing. But I'm not, this is a negative video coming on saying that you can't get over that. That you can't overcome your childhood. Because I think that you can. But it's not easy to overcome your childhood. It's not easy to overcome those many years, that, have been ingrained on you. They're like part of you. Your wounds, your scars are a part of who you are. I mean, you might not like to admit it, but your wounds, your scars are a part of who you are. Like your memories, right? You can't erase your memories, can you? Your memories are with you unless you get amnesia or something. I do have amnesia. I don't remember after a certain age. I don't remember before a certain age, not after. I don't remember too much before, 5 or 6. I don't. And I don't remember much between, 6 or 10 either. Very, very, very little. I think because I was horrifically abused that I blocked that part out. It's called dissociation. When you dissociate, you shut out things and you don't respond. It's like an out-of-body experience. It's like if something happened to you, you're not responding to it in the present time. Like if you're being raped and you dissociate, you're kind of like out of your body, and you're not really there, so you're not really fully, it's very hard to describe. You're not fully there. You're not there. Physically you might be there, but you're mentally, you're outside of the situation. That's the only way people can, deal with horrific crimes. They totally dissociate. They totally, physically their body might be there, but mentally they shut off. They shut that off. They shut off. So it's hard for me to describe it, but I know I dissociated a lot of times in my life. I just totally shut off. I had to survive. Otherwise, I'd never be able to survive in that kind of environment. So, if your parents are going to be parents, please fix yourself up first. Do whatever you have to do, but don't bring children into the world while you still have hang-ups. It's not good. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them, because, like I said, children are sponges. You know what I mean? And they will absorb whatever you put into them. They will absorb that. So I think that, you are creating, when you have children, you are creating another adult to go out in the world. You want to create a good one. You want to create a kind one, a loving one, someone that doesn't judge, someone that's caring and kind to other people, not someone that, is going to bring people down. And it all falls back on you, too. Whatever you do comes back to you. Listen to me. Hear those words. Whatever you do comes back to you. So if you treated people like crap, what do you expect's going to happen? Right? So I hope that this video has helped some people in knowing that we're a product of our upbringing, but it doesn't mean that we can't overcome it with hard work and determination. And I realize too now in my late 50s that I'm more careful what I say around my son, even though my son, who lives at home, because he's still working full time and going to school to be a doctor, but he's still a sponge, even though he's 25 and a half, and I realize that. So I'm much more cautious, what I say, the way I say it, because I want to raise him to be kind and caring and non-judgmental, and I don't want to raise him, when he was younger, me and my husband used to scream at each other. It wasn't a good environment for him. I cheated a lot, and I didn't realize when I was younger, that I wasn't raising my son in the best environment when he's hearing parents fighting all the time. So right now I try to make things very calm, and I'm very careful what I say and how I say it. Also, another important thing is, I think it's very important that your parents, or if you are a parent, make their children the most important thing in the world. I mean, you've got to believe that you count, okay? As a child, especially, and even as an adult, you've got to believe, even as an adult, but especially as a child, that you matter, that you count to someone, that you're the most important person in somebody's eyes. Because can you imagine going through life, even if you're a child, especially, even if you're an adult, I said that backward, and not feel like no one cares, I'm in the city. So I think it's very important to raise children like they're the most important people in your life, that they really matter. What they have to say really matters. What they think, their opinion, really matters. And as an adult, you want to feel like you're the most important person in someone's life. You don't have to have like a boyfriend or a husband for that. It could be a sister. It could be a best friend. It could be an aunt, a niece. It could be anyone. What I'm saying is it's very important, even as adults too, that we feel that we matter to another person. So I'll leave you with that, and have a good day.